in the extended chamber.
Thank you, Speaker. This process was very important. And the reason is it appears from the country that we have a series of impeachments coming along the way. And it is important that Senator Malala was very clear about the threshold. Those members of County Assembly, even if you sleep in your assembly, even if you plant trees in your assembly, and the threshold is not met, we have set the standard. And I'm glad that I sat in the Chepkwony committee because, Mr. Speaker, the standard was set. I just want to quote this, and I'm addressing the County Assembly members all over the country so that they can read the authority of Supreme Court of Nigeria, which was quoted ably by the Supreme Court of Kenya in the Mwaura case. And this is what it had to say. A governor is as a human being cannot always be right and cannot claim to be always right. That explains why Section 188 talks about gross violation. Accordingly, where a misconduct is not gross, then Section 188, or Article 188 in this case, weapon is not a weapon of removal and is not available to a House of Assembly. It was quoted by our Supreme Court. It continues to say, Mr. Speaker, it is useful to note that the various meanings of the word gross in relation to violation. Gross violation is a flagrant violation, a glaring error, nasty, unpleasant, vulgar, crass. It must be severe transgression of the Constitution and the law. That message is like one commandment we are sending to all the county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, the next comment is, I must say that the committee was bombarded with documents, heaps and heaps of paper. Mr. Speaker, we must amend the timelines. And Mr. Speaker, the Vice Chair and the Chair, and I've not had anybody congratulate Senator Alake for good conduct. Both of them, not even being lawyers, conducted themselves like judges. They were congratulated all over the place and the conduct of how they did this. Lastly, just the same way we did in the Chepkwony. In the Chepkwony case, we asked the senator of that region, now Waziri Keter, to go and reconcile the parties. The paragraphs that are mentioned here about how they are relating to one another presupposes that they think that they are going to migrate to Makueni. We are not interested in them coming to Makueni. They must live together. Senator Kajwang, the late, said something when we were impeaching Governor Kiala. He said there is no divorce. If the county assembly of Kirinyaga and the governor think there's going to be a divorce, there will be no divorce. If they think they can wind up the county, Makueni, we have an example of what happens when you collect signatures and the president refuses. You must work together. Underline caps. Thank you.
Senator Mwaura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the outset, I would really want to congratulate the people that represented us, the senators, within this committee. We were actually following very ably. And I want to thank you because you did not allow yourself to be persuaded by the court of public opinion. Actually, what you have been able to do is to prosecute this matter based on its own merits. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that if you look at the allegations that were so made, this was more about political hubris and innuendos. It was about ad hominem arguments against the character of Governor Waiguru. And also, this calls for a very important attribute on the position of a governor. Because I think for me, for this matter to come to this august house, it was more because of lack of consultations by the governor and the county assembly and the high-handedness. And I want to advise Governor Waiguru, wherever she is, please calm down, talk to the people, climb from the mountain. If you had done so before, we would not have been here. I think that is very, very important. Number two is that we still are reeling with the challenges of councillors and county councils. Our jurisprudence, our oversight has not developed to real subnational, sub-state level where we have an equal and accountable government. We cannot have as a country that the only recourse to discipline raw governors is by impeachment. That is something we need to look at. And one of the things that we need to see is how consultative are the public participation process in the development of the CIDP, in the development of the annual development plan, in the development of county fiscal strategy paper, and such other documents that actually ensure that people move in the same direction and that accusations of malfeasance are not attributed to persons who seem not to fully understand the process. This is actually something we need to look at. And I think Senator Amos Wako had a bill here on public participation, because clearly from these proceedings, Mr. Speaker, it appears both the governor and the county assembly members have not properly consulted. Mr. Speaker, it is also true to say that when people knew how they can be gotten through direct signature and what have you, there is a new form of corruption that has morphed, where you cannot trace anybody's signature, but you still end up benefiting. So we need to be creative as a Senate to capture people who indirectly benefit from the direct actions of corruption of other officers in the public service. This is something we need to really crack. And finally, Mr. Speaker, because I would like to speak, but I see the time is not there.
Okay, thank you. Senator Mogeni Eric.